Ozempic is for people who are completely compromised with their health. They are a type 2 diabetic who could be having, potential amputations or ulcerated legs, who could have issues with their vision. They're also for people who are morbidly obese for whatever reason. They have a morbid obesity. So these people are already completely compromised. So something like Ozempic is fantastic for them to get them out of a danger zone and get them into a healthy weight. Now, Ozempic will advertise itself as a weekly injection. And it always talks about it's only a short-term solution. So it advertises itself that it needs to be done with healthy diet and exercise as well. Now, it's an appetite suppressant.
So it's an old school, like as a diet drug, the thing that's in play here is purely that it's an appetite suppressant. It's not doing anything else?
No. So what it does is it suppresses your appetite and it gets rid of your...
So just like fen-phen was 20 years ago or diet pills were 50 years ago, it's the same principle. It's suppress your appetite but not change your behavior.
Well, it also works on blood glucose, so it works with production of insulin, so it helps us with our blood glucose regulation, which is why it's so good for type 2 diabetics, unlike something like Duramine historically. Remember Duramine?
Speed. That was speed, right?
Speed. I mean, what are we doing to ourselves? It makes me actually really sad when I think about that. So it works with elevating our insulin production, which works with our blood glucose, which is why it's perfect for people with type 2 diabetes. Now, what has happened is obviously influencers have got their hands on it. They've posted their Ozempic journey. They talk about they've posted, this huge weight loss. It also slows down the emptying of our stomach. So there's as well, like whatever you eat, I think it just slows down that. Now, this is being used by celebrities. There was jokes at the Oscars recently about
the Ozempic face.
The Ozempic face, right? There's all
not a compliment. That is not a compliment.
No, and Kim Kardashian has been, the Kardashians use it. She used it to get into that Marilyn Monroe dress, apparently. I mean, okay, so I've been hearing about it a lot. I am completely and utterly against it for so many reasons. First of all, it does not teach you a healthy relationship with food. What happens when you stop injecting yourself with Ozempic? You put the weight back on, because psychologically you haven't educated yourself on how to eat, what to eat, how to work that in with your circadian rhythms, understanding your portion control, the importance of that holistic approach of sleep, diet, exercise, that gets people to lose weight and keep that weight off for life, because they've changed their ways from their old normal that made them overweight in an unhealthy weight. They've learned a long-term solution. So Ozempic is a short-term solution. What horrifies me about this, and I've kind of tried to look at the long-term studies. First of all, side effects: dizziness, nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, constipation, right? And in the clinical trials of this, 73% of participants suffered those mild symptoms.
I ask you that question because last year, I was so amazed by the difference understanding my internal health dashboard gave me. And again, as I said, I discovered it in my mid-40s. And I thought, gosh, imagine if you got this information from your 20s, in your 30s, and did it all the time. That I actually launched a virtual clinic as part of Ageless and partnered with a pathology company, because so many of my readers and listeners were saying, but my doctor doesn't do these tests, so I don't know who to see. So we partnered with a pathology company, and I worked with a naturopath to determine, I think, a set of 7 functional health tests that you can order online with us. And then this company will send you the pathology reports. You go and get the bloods or the stool test, and then they send the results to you and your health practitioner, or you can have a telehealth consult with their doctor to review your results, and then from there make recommendations. And I also add to that DNA testing, which I think is hugely informative and interesting. And as you said, it helps your practitioner make much more informed decisions about the path that they're going to put you on, and the compliance and the likelihood of success. But I am I'm really interested when I speak to experts on how much reliance they place on understanding the internal dashboard. And yeah, of course, it makes sense that you do it because, you get great results. But yeah, I wanted to ask that question.
Yeah. I'm
And then how
surprised.
often do you ask your patients, or do you review those results?
Well, it depends on what we're treating. So, for example, if I'm working alongside a GP, and I do that a lot. So if I'm working alongside a GP, say, in lowering someone's cholesterol, because I will see a lot of people who have gone to the GP says, okay, you've got to go on statins, and they're like, ah. So the GP, I will see these people, and within 6 months, I will get someone just with diet. I will get there and a few little supplements, like some just really good quality fish oil. I will just work at getting their cholesterol down. So I know how to get cholesterol down with diet within 12 weeks. But what we do, so I will get those, for example. It just depends on what I'm treating, on how often I would test, because if it's functional testing, it can be incredibly expensive. I'm always very mindful.
It is expensive.
It is expensive, and I'm very mindful, especially in today's current climate with interest rates and what I only prescribe supplements when they're essential. I always work with food first, but there is a lot of cases, especially when it comes to gut health, where I just need to get some good bacteria in there, and I need to really give this patient some relief. And so I'm a very big believer in probiotics. I'm very against any kind of laxative or stool relaxing medications over the counter, because there is a recent study that came out that clearly demonstrated that anyone who uses laxatives long term has got a 51% increased risk of dementia. So these kind of things.
And is that because of the gut bacteria that they're...
It's that, but also it's just all that gut-brain axis, that link to it. There's a lack of good bacteria. The bacteria is being eradicated all the time through that rapid, through probably diarrhea and just the bowel being constantly irritated. It's not a good microbiome. It's not a healthy environment. So there is that increase. So look, everyone's individual. We're all, what works for one, what doesn't work for other. When it comes to testing, I will if money's not an object, I would we'll do more functional testing. If it depends, but and also when I'm working alongside specialist doctors, when we're looking at like getting people off something more serious like blood pressure medications, because I do a lot of work with reversing people off medication. So but that also, for me to get someone off medication, I also have to have the patient there's a big onus there. It's a responsibility of someone's health because they're already in a disease state. So when you're doing that kind of stuff, the patient has to work, alongside you. For example, blood pressure. I get my patients to take their blood pressure 3 times a day. They have to put it into a spreadsheet. We have to sit there, we monitor it. Spreadsheet goes 30 days later to the GP or the cardiologist, and then we tweak the medication. And then we tweak it again. And then we move it to every second day. And then that person, but there's only a certain type of patient who will do that. And it's the patient who is interested in long-term health and wellness.
What are some things that we can do? Because I learned all this at 45 because I, surrounded myself with a raft of experts. I wish I'd learned it in my 20s. I wish I learned it in my teens.
I know. Okay, so I'm just going to start by saying I am the mother of 3 girls. I'm a single mother. I've raised them for the last 10 years by myself, 100%. They're now almost 14, 18, and 20. So what you're doing with your gorgeous Lily is something that has been at the forefront of my parenting. If I do ever get time in my life, I would do a speaker's circuit about this and visit schools because it's really important. It's so important for the girls of our generation. I'm going to start with parents first. So
that's actually right, because we're the custodians.
Correct.
We make the decisions. Yeah.
Your child is a sponge. And everything, she is watching everything that you're eating and you're doing, as my kids watched everything I was eating and doing. First of all, A, to learn from you, B, they care about you and they want to know that you're doing the right thing. So I started with my children from a very young age, and I can honestly say, hand on my heart, I am so proud of my 3 daughters and their relationship with body image, self-worth, self-esteem, and food. First of all, I've raised 3 incredible daughters who have an amazing self-esteem without raising narcissists, because there's a fine line with narcissism and good self-esteem from a parenting perspective. I always did believe in raising kids with a good sense of self-esteem, because if someone's got good self-esteem, they're going to make good decisions within their life. And that could be about who they associate with, who they partner with, and also how they treat their body. My kids were lucky enough for having me as a mum with my career and my profession and my passions for me to educate them. So I always believed in the why, not you need to eat your broccoli. I would just say, look, the reason why I want you to eat the broccoli, first of all, it's a great source of fiber, but it's also got a magic in it called vitamin A, which is great for your vision, vitamin C, you won't get sick. It's like medicine in broccoli that's all natural, vitamin K for your bone to keep your calcium there. So I always would explain why I wanted my children to do certain things. So they understood that without being, I don't ever believe in telling you with raising children, don't tell them because they just hear an instruction. You have to explain. And if you don't know the answer, Google it and sit there and say, look, I really want you to eat these carrots because, well, not only they're delicious, but, you know, for other reasons. So that's my big thing with parenting. Yeah.
One of the things that I really loved when we were speaking before doing the show is that you want to drop the word diet completely from all of your publications. And you are, you know, multiple best-time selling author. You've sold over 80,000 books. And your first book is called The 10-10 Diet. Your second book is 10-10 Recipes. And the third book is called
10-10 well, like so the first book's 10-10 Kickstart, no diet word in that one.
Exactly.
Because I insisted. I just put my foot down.
Which I really, really like. But let's talk about 10-10 because one of the things that it circles back to the beginning of our conversation is that in 10-10, you're actually promising similar results to something like Ozempic.
Correct.
The same amount of
weight loss
in the same kind of time frame, but it is forever, and it doesn't make you ugly, and it doesn't make you stressed, and it doesn't make you want to kill yourself or have nausea,
vomit, and diarrhea, and constipation.
So let's talk about, from your research, what 10-10 is about. And we won't call it diet. What is the philosophy of 10-10 eating and nutrition? Okay,
so there's so much. I mean, look, I'm going to start with saying 10-10 was born in about 10 years ago. So 10-10 is based on how I live. So that was the foundation because
that's why I want to know about it.
Okay, so the 10, thank you, darling.
I just saw you in a bikini on the weekend and it's like, yeah, I want to take her advice. Okay, I'll take the advice.
Okay, so 10-10, the 10-10 foundation is based on how I live. And I started writing it and prescribing it in my own clinic with my patients 10 years ago because I just didn't want to do other diets because I didn't agree with them for whatever reasons and I didn't think that they worked. Now, and I'm an evidence-based practitioner. In my spare time, I read studies and I'm obsessed with constantly evolving and research and findings, and I love my space. The reason why it's 10, so 10-10 is 10 kilos in 10 weeks. Now, the average person wants to lose, and there'd be a small amount that just want to lose the last 5, but most people who are really focused on weight loss want to lose between 10 to 15 or plus kilos, but that's the average. Keeping in mind that a dress size is actually 5 to 8 kilos. So when we lose, people think a dress size is about 2 kilos. Now, the reason why I wanted to do it over 10 weeks, because all the science clearly demonstrates that if you do something for longer than 66 days, you are going to make a lifelong habit.
That's right. Neuroscience absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You rewire the pathways, it becomes you.
Yes. And so that's why it's 10 weeks, because I am going to change your life and I am going to teach you. So that's why. And the other reason why it's 10 kilos is because I'm a very big believer in preserving our gorgeous muscle, being divinely hydrated, but only losing body fat. The human body cannot lose more than anywhere between sort of 0.8 to about 1.2, maximum 1.5, depending on your size. The 1.5 would be people who are like 140 kilos.
Yeah.
The people around 70 to 80 kilos, it's about 0.8. And the people around 100 kilos, it's about 1 kilo. The human body cannot physically move more fat than that within a week.